Friends, we can all see that many white bloggers have millions of followers. Please support me too because my followers are still few. Black bloggers also deserve to be famous. My friends, let's unite and lift each other up. Please press subscribe button and like. On a seemingly ordinary Thursday morning at 10 a.m., the marble-floored lobby of Apex Bank in downtown Seattle buzzed with the usual hum of customers and employees. But tension crackled in the air as Marcus Tate, a man dressed in a plain white t-shirt and faded jeans, stood at the counter, holding his ID and bank card. He was calm, but his eyes betrayed a storm brewing within. You think someone like you has $1 million just sitting in an account here? Prove it or get out, barked Pamela Reed, the branch manager, her voice echoing through the lobby. The words hung heavy in the air, drawing the attention of every customer present. Marcus was not just any customer, he was the CEO of Apex Financial Group, worth over $15 billion. But today, he was undercover, investigating anonymous complaints about discrimination against minority customers at this very branch. He had come to witness the truth firsthand, and what he saw was disheartening. "I'm here to make a withdrawal," Marcus said, sliding his card across the glass counter. "$1 million wire transfer." Pamela arched an eyebrow, her smirk revealing her disbelief. "In that outfit?" she scoffed, her tone dripping with contempt. Before Marcus could respond, teller Ryan Holt chimed in through the intercom. "Sir, we'll need to re-verify your identity. We've had scammers dressed like that before." Laughter erupted from the back of the line, but Marcus remained unfazed. "My ID is valid, and so is my account," he replied, his voice steady. But the situation escalated when Sarah Clean, another teller, grabbed Marcus's card and locked it away, declaring, "This card looks suspicious. Honestly, you probably stole it. You need to leave." Gasps filled the room and murmurs of disbelief spread like wildfire. Olivia Grant, a marketing consultant and regular customer, had seen enough. She pulled out her phone and began recording. "This is racism at Apex Bank," she declared, her voice cutting through the tension. Ethan Cole, a journalist standing nearby, joined in, documenting the unfolding drama. "Get his name," Olivia instructed, her determination palpable. Mia Brooks, a young teller who had worked at the branch for 2 years, felt a surge of courage. "He has every right to be here," she said softly, stepping forward. Pamela shot her a glare. "You're not paid to argue," she snapped, but Mia pressed on. "I am paid to follow policy, and you're breaking it." The tension in the room thickened as customers began to murmur in agreement. Marcus, feeling the weight of their support, turned to Pamela. "You're ruining Apex. This isn't about me, it's about you." Flashback to 20 years ago, Marcus, a young man fresh out of grad school, had faced similar humiliation at a small bank in Texas. Dressed in jeans, he had been dismissed as a potential fraud. That moment had ignited a fire within him to create a financial institution where no one would ever be treated like that again. Back in the present, Pamela pressed a button under her desk, logging a silent note in the system, "Possible fraud escalate." Ryan's voice rang out again, "Final warning, sir. Leave now or we escalate to law enforcement." Marcus stood his ground. Instead of retreating, he pulled out his phone and dialed his assistant, Lena. "Activate the internal system," he instructed. "Slive, we're monitoring everything." "Say the word," Lena replied. "Not yet," Marcus said, his eyes fixed on the unfolding chaos. Mia stepped forward again, blocking Sarah from the drawer. "You locked his card without justification. You could lose your job for this." Sarah rolled her eyes. "I'm not worried." Pamela interjected, "You're embarrassing yourself, Mia." But Mia stood firm. "He's not a fraud. He's a valued client." The room was electric with tension, and Marcus felt the shift in the atmosphere. "You'll regret this, Pamela," he warned, his voice low but powerful. Then Ethan leaned over and tugged the drawer slightly open, reading the name on the card aloud. "Marcus Tate," he announced. "This card says Marcus Tate." A collective gasp filled the room. The realization hit like a thunderclap. Pamela's eyes flickered with fear, but she quickly masked it with hostility. "Lock the drawer. Don't let anyone near that card again," she hissed. But the tide had turned. Customers began to rally around Marcus, their voices rising in protest. "He's a client," one man shouted. "You can't put hands on him." Ryan, fueled by Pamela's silent nod, stepped forward, gripping Marcus's elbow. "Let's not make this harder than it has to be," he said through clenched teeth, but Marcus remained calm. "Let go of me," he said, his voice steady. Mia intervened, stepping between Marcus and Ryan. "You can't touch him. His account is valid." The crowd began to swell, forming a protective barrier around Marcus. "This is injustice," Ethan shouted, live streaming to Reddit. "They're physically removing a customer with no evidence. This is racism on full display at Apex Bank." The atmosphere shifted from tension to outrage as more customers joined the fray. "You owe him an apology," one woman shouted. Pamela, desperate to regain control, barked, "Everyone, put your phones away." But her words fell on deaf ears. Marcus, sensing the momentum, turned to the crowd. "They think they're untouchable," he said, his voice rising. "They believe appearance equals legitimacy." Lena's voice came through Marcus's phone. "Internal system is live. We're capturing audio and customer testimony. You have full authorization." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "Return my card," he demanded, his tone firm. Sarah hesitated but eventually unlocked the drawer and placed the card on the counter. "You've crossed every line," Marcus said, his voice steady. "This will not go unanswered." Pamela, realizing the gravity of the situation, stammered, "You can't do this." But Marcus stood tall. "I just did." The applause that erupted from the crowd was not just for Marcus but for the collective stand against injustice. As the dust settled, Marcus turned to Mia. "You've been brave today. You're being promoted effective immediately." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "This isn't just about $1 million withdrawal," Marcus said, his voice resonating with authority. "It's about accountability, decency, and fairness." The atmosphere shifted again, this time towards hope. But just as the crowd began to cheer, Pamela's voice cut through the excitement. "This is a disaster. You'll lose half your staff." Marcus turned to her, his expression unwavering. "I'd rather lose staff than lose our soul." The tension in the room was palpable, and the crowd held its breath, waiting for the next move. And then, in a moment that would change everything, Ryan stepped forward, his voice trembling but resolute. "Mr. Tate, I need to say something." The room fell silent, all eyes on him. "I need to confess," Ryan continued, his gaze dropping to the floor. "Pamela instructed us to delay service for certain customers. She had a list. She said to stall anyone who looked off." Gasps erupted from the crowd, and Marcus's heart raced. This was the moment he had been waiting for. The truth was finally coming to light. "She said if they got upset, just stall, then call escalation," Ryan admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Marcus felt a surge of determination. This isn't just about one incident. This is systemic. The crowd began to murmur in agreement, their anger transforming into a collective resolve. "Let's hold them accountable," Marcus said, his voice rising once more. "This is our chance to change the narrative." And as the crowd rallied behind him, Marcus knew that this was just the beginning. The fight for justice was far from over, but together, they would ensure that no one would ever face the same humiliation again. Do you want to know the fate of the heroes? Please post part 2. Subscribe to the channel and continue watching. Your opinion and support are important to me. Leave it in the comments. Thank you.